My son was an addict, and he was addicted to drugs for quite a few years, and he struggled with it. And that led to really bad mental health, to where he has heard voices, and some of these voices at one point told him to run and tell him to go or tell him to do things. And one night he was running and he was going and wearing dark clothes, and he ended up getting hit by a car going 50 miles an hour. And that is mental health, but that is the extreme of mental health. But that is also why we have heart and a passion to help people with mental health and try to get rid of the stigma, because at the end of the day, the family members, the moms, the dads, the caregivers of mental health also end up struggling with their own mental health a little bit, but not the hearing voices or things like that, but more or less struggling with stress, anxiety, hopelessness, not knowing where to go. And a lot of times if we go to the church and we try to say, hey, we are struggling with these things, a lot of times we get pushed away, or they don't know how to handle it because they're not a facility, they're not a doctor, they're not a treatment center. But they don't have to be a treatment center or a facility or a doctor or a therapist to even help somebody that is struggling with stress or anxiety, or maybe their family member has some mental health or drug addiction. It could just be a person like me or you who is compassionate and has empathy for them and just sits down and listens and gives them an ear for a minute and lets them tell us how they feel. Or if we've been through and have those lived experiences ourselves, we could actually share what we've been through so they don't feel like they're alone. And that's why we create these resources like You Are Not Alone. And we have books that could show, and it's for family members supporting family members of mental health. And we get together as a community and we talk about the things that we're going through. We talk about the things that we're struggling with. We also create other resources like Family Matters, a journey through mental health, just so it could kind of explore the whole family's journey through mental health. Because the one thing we have realized is mental health is not just an individual problem, it's the whole family's problem. And beyond that, it's the whole community's problem. Because when one person struggles with mental health, we all end up struggling with mental health. Because if it causes divorce within the families, if it causes debt within the families, if it causes just anxiety and stresses, that reflects our whole community, our whole family. When somebody is struggling with mental health and they just keep it to themselves, they end up holding so much stuff in and then at some point exploding, or trying to give so much attention to the one person who is struggling with mental health or addiction to where they ignore the rest of their family, or they try to overcompensate for the rest of the family, to where sometimes we have to talk about how to set healthy boundaries, and not only for ourselves but for our family members and for our loved ones. And sometimes we think that we're helping, but we could be enabling. But that's why it's important to get in community. Too often I see these faith-based resources and I go online to try to get help, and it's some program or some video just for me to do by myself. And I don't feel, and Story Ministry doesn't feel, that is the right solution. We feel there has to be something better, that we need to be in community with other people who are experiencing and dealing with the same things that we have experienced and have dealt with. And one of our hearts is to empower the church. What do we mean by empower the church? Too often, and this is just from my own experience, I've gone to churches in the past and have explained and told them what I'm going through, and then I get ignored, or I get pushed out, or I feel isolated, or I feel like they don't want to talk to me, or I feel like they think my problems are contagious, and that if they keep me around too long or they hang out with me, that eventually they're going to get whatever we had, which is not true. That is not truth. The church is uneducated about mental health. And that's why it's important for us as Story Ministry to educate people about mental health by starting support groups, partner with mental health with the churches. And I feel like the churches should be the first place that we should be able to go to get support, to get love. Because what I needed and what I wanted was God. I needed God. Where's the first place you think about going when you need to get God or you need to get more Jesus? You think about the church. So when we go to the church and the church pushes us away, or the church hurts us, we feel like God hurts us. We feel like God's pushing us away. We're not even good enough for the church. The church doesn't even want to love us or help us. So when we do that, we actually cause more damage than actually good. And if it was just a little bit of education, some training, and a little bit of support, it could go a long way with mental health.